Hey, 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 it's your girl Talia, and I'm ready for you to invade my space. Welcome to Talia's Space, y'all. Welcome to the Look Good, Feel Good, Be Good podcast, where we gonna talk about everything. You hear me? We gonna laugh, we gonna cry, and most of all, we gonna love on each other, y'all. Let's talk. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Look Good, Feel Good, Be Good podcast. Okay, you know what I say. If you don't look good, then baby, you're not gonna feel good, and if you don't feel good, then you're not gonna be a good person. Okay, I'm telling you, if you don't look good, you're not gonna feel good, and if you don't feel good, you're going to be a crappy person. Okay, so I want you guys to go out this week, get some self love. Okay, I know it's Monday. Monday is not, the day that everybody love because it starts off the new week. But I'm telling you, if you get up early, I want you to get up early. I want you to take time for yourself. I want you to get some meditation in. I want you to get some self love, some self care in on this week. Okay, I want you to do it on Monday so you can start your week off right. Okay, so you can be a good person to somebody that needs a good person in their life. Okay, somebody needs some kindness on this week. So I need you to get up and on this good old Monday and start your day off right. Okay? So, we've been, wait, hold on, cuz I almost forgot. I want you to go get your wine, go get your juice, go get your Kool-Aid, go get your water cuz y'all already know what we going to do. We about to talk down tonight, y'all, okay? All right. I had to get that out the way because y'all know it ain't what it is if I don't say that, okay? But we're gonna talk about love and marriage. Okay, we've been doing love and marriage. I've been getting a lot of comments. I've been getting so many people um with coming to me with so much feedback and telling me how they like the series, giving me their own inputs, and we're gonna stay here for a little moment. Okay, there's a lot of things that I have to say when it comes to love and marriage. I know y'all look at me, hey, she's young, she don't have that much to say, but I'm young and I've been married for almost 16, 17 years. Okay. So I do have a little bit to say. I may not have as much as somebody who's been married 30 plus years, but being a young black couple and lasting this long is a miracle within itself. Okay. But I want to talk to you guys about love and marriage and how all marriages are not created equal. Okay. We look at marriages, we look at what we see on TV, we look at what we see out here in the public eye, we look at our parents, we look at our grandparents, we look at our siblings, we look at movies and sitcoms, and we say, hey, this is what marriage is supposed to be. This is what I want my marriage to look like. And I'm telling you, 99.9% of the time, marriage is not going to look like that. Marriage is not going to be like that. Okay. That's why I use caution about who I talk to when it comes to me and my husband and about what we go through in our marriage, because I don't want to look at somebody else's marriage and try to mimic what they have. Okay. Number one is because we're not the same people. My husband is not your husband, and I'm not the person that you or he may want me, or he may see, what I'm saying, in your marriage. That's not me. We are two different people. I'm not your wife is not me. So what you tell me to do or the advice that you give, it may not coincide with what my marriage pertains. Okay, all marriages are not created equal. You have to be really careful who you seek counsel from. Okay, when it comes to your marriage, you have to be really wise and really careful. I remember a while back when me and my husband um, we had a conversation, and the conversation was based off of what I saw other wives doing when it came to their husbands. And what I'm saying is, like, there was a wife that was getting up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and making sure that her husband had breakfast, and she would get up before daytime to make sure all of these things, all of his needs were met. And I kind of felt like a bad wife because I'm like, I'm not getting up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, fixing my husband anything, at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm just probably rolling over because I got to get up in the next hour to get my children ready for school. And so I felt like a bad wife. And I went to him and I said, babe, um, are you upset or do you get upset when I don't get up in the morning with you and make breakfast and stuff like that? Is that something that you desire? Is that something that you want me to do? And he asked me, he's like, why would you ask me that? And I told him, I said, because I've been hearing, some other wives, and what they do with for their husbands. And I feel like that I'm a bad wife because I don't do that. And he said, I don't require you to do that. I don't ask you to do that. I don't need you to do that. He said, you already do enough anyway. You make sure that the kids are fed. You make sure that, the kids are good when they get ready to go to school. He says, so I don't really be needing you to get up. I don't want you to get up and break your rest and to just to fix me breakfast because I don't need that. So what I'm saying is you do whatever works for your marriage. Okay? Don't listen or don't get these ridiculous ideas of what marriage is supposed to be, and don't mimic what you see other people doing in their marriage, because that's not who you are, and that's not what your marriage is. Your marriage may be built on a different foundation, and so what works on their foundation is not going to work for yours. Okay? They may be using brick for their foundation and you may be comfortable using wood. Okay? So I don't want you to get into a mind frame where I need my marriage to be like theirs, or if my marriage is doesn't look like this, then it's not a good marriage. Um I had to get to a place where I was okay with who I was in the marriage, with the wife that I became in the marriage. And I had to communicate with my husband to see exactly what it is that he does require of me when it comes to being a wife. What do you want for me to do? And if I'm not, if there's something that I'm not doing, then I need you to let me know that, so I won't be out here not fulfilling my wifely duties. Okay, that's what we need to understand. We need to understand how to communicate with each other so we can build the marriage. Okay, you have to build your own marriage. You cannot go and take a brick from somebody else's marriage and put it inside of yours, because it's not going to fit. I don't care if the bricks look the same. Anybody, you ever rode down, this street and every house on the block looked the same? I don't care how, these houses look. I don't care if they do look the same. I don't care if the marriage do look like yours. It's not yours. So what's working in their marriage is not going to work for yours. It's a different brick that they're using. It's a different foundation that they're using for their marriage. You may not want to go through what they went through in order for them to get to where they are. We see these marriages, and we have this thing, or we did have this thing that's called relationship goals or whatever. And you see these people on Instagram, and you see these marriages on Instagram where the husband and wife, they're on vacation or they're sipping wine and sipping champagne, and they're out here on the beach, and they're lovey-dovey and they're kissing on each other, and they post them pictures, and you saying, hey, this is what I want. This is the relationship that I want. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know what these people are doing behind closed doors. You don't know what conversation that they had closed doors. You don't know if they're fighting each other right after they have took that picture. You don't know what these people are going through in order for you to say, this is what I want my marriage to look like. You shouldn't want your marriage to look like anybody else's. Your marriage should be unique. It should be different. It should be set apart. Anytime that your marriage is a clone marriage, then something is wrong. There shouldn't be marriages out here that are cloned that look just like somebody else's, because I can't be you and you definitely can't be me. That's the problem. We look at people wives or people husbands and we say, I want my husband to be like that. You don't know who that man is. You don't know who that woman is. Me and my husband say it all the time. People may look at me and they may say, oh, he has a beautiful wife, or his wife is this and his wife is that. You don't know me. You don't know what my husband had to go through. You don't know the trials and the tribulations that my husband had to go through. You don't understand the background of our marriage and why we are set apart and why we are so strong now. You may not can handle what I was able to handle in my marriage when it came to my husband. And that's why, you hear people say, well, this is not like back in the day, people want to get up and they want to run. They don't want to stick it out. You are not your parents. I am not my parent. My mother went through a lot when it came to my dad, and my dad went through a lot when it came to my mom. So I can't be her. You know what I'm saying? Yes, she taught me how to be a wife. She taught me how to take care of my husband, and I watched her take care of my dad until he was on his deathbed. So yeah, she did good by her vows. But you don't understand in the beginning of their marriage what they went through. Them two, they were held together. So you don't understand that. And for me to look at their marriage and say, that's what I want. I want my husband to be just like my father. Well, my father had cheated on my mother. My mother was doing her own thing too. So be careful what you're asking for when you're looking at somebody else's marriage. Be careful what you're asking for when you're looking at somebody else's spouse. Isn't that one of the 10 commandments? Do not covet their neighbors, because you don't know. You don't know what that man or woman is dealing with at home. Yeah, they may have something that look good in this package, but you don't know what that man or woman is dealing with. And that's why we have so many people who kind of commit adultery, not kind of, but do commit adultery, because you thinking that what you see out here is better than what you have at home. And the only reason why you feel like it's better than what you have at home is because you're not living with it. You don't know what that female is when y'all are together. If y'all had to spend 24 hours together, you don't know who she is. You don't know what that man is. You don't know if you can deal with that man or not. His wife is the only one that can deal with him. You can't deal with him. You think that you can because you're getting this little extra on the side, but you cannot deal with this man. You don't know what this man does on a daily basis. He's just giving you a couple hours of his time. His wife deals with him 24/7. So be careful wanting something. Be careful thinking that all marriages are created equal. Be careful looking at somebody else's marriage and wishing that it was yours, because you may not be able to stand the test and trial that they stood through. Yeah, they've been together for 30 something years, but you wasn't there. You wasn't there in the mud with them. You wasn't there when they was ready to call it quits. You wasn't there when a divorce word was thrown out there. You was not there. So be careful saying that I want my marriage like that. And be careful looking at these movies and at these TV shows and thinking that that's what marriage look like. Marriage don't look like sunshine and rainbows every day. Marriage does not look like kissing up under the rain. It don't look like that. It don't look like you running towards me at a train station or at the plane at the airport. It don't look like that. That's not what marriage looked like, but that's what you want it to look like. And when you get into these marriages and it doesn't fit your criteria because of what you've been watching on Lifetime, then you're ready to call it quits. All marriages are not created equal. Stop trying to get this fairy tale marriage that you're seeing on these sitcoms and on these movies, because that's not what marriage is. Your marriage is called to be different. If all marriages were created equal, then everybody would have the same husband and the same wife with the same name, same last name, same first name. Everything will look alike if all marriages were created equal, but we're not. We're all different. We're all of different standards. We're all of different races. We're all of different backgrounds. So you cannot expect your marriage to look like somebody else's unless you're ready to go through what they went through, unless you're ready to plow the ground like they did. Are you actually able to handle infidelity? Are you actually able to handle somebody who's not ready to get married and they're still acting like a little boy or a little girl? Are you able to handle that? Are you able to handle being a parent to somebody who's grown? Are you able to handle that? Are you able to handle a man that was not taught how to handle money and now you got to be that financial person? Are you able to handle that? You don't know what these people are going through. You don't know what this woman is going through at home. You don't know what this man is going through at home. But you want their marriage. You don't want their marriage. I promise you, you don't. If you was a fly on the wall, you probably would hurry up and try to find some type of crack to get up out of that house because this is not what you really want. Stop basing your marriage off of somebody else's marriage. Stop doing this hashtag relationship goals because you don't know what happened behind that picture. She could have a black eye right after that picture. He could have been killed right after that picture because women are crazy too. Let's not just blame men. Women are crazy too. You don't understand the depths behind your hashtag relationship goals. What you need to be worried about or what you need to focus on is making sure that you build a good foundation for your marriage. That even any time that you come across the humps and the bruises and all this stuff, whenever you come across all these things that marriage involves, these storms and these tsunamis, whenever you come across them, you have built up a foundation that's strong enough to weather the storm, that's strong enough to go through the wind, that's strong enough that's not going to be shaky every time something happens. We be so ready to run and be so ready to flee the situation when it doesn't look like what we thought it should. When it doesn't look like their marriage, the worst thing that you can do is come home and tell your spouse, "Well, that's not how she said her husband did it. That's not what he said his wife said." Or why you don't look like her? Why you don't respond the way she responds? That's the worst thing that you can ever do. Compare your marriage or compare your spouse to somebody else because we are not created equal. We are different and we are different for a reason. Yes, there may be sometimes that we can give advice to somebody else. When I give advice to somebody, the thing that I tell them to do is go to God because I am not God and my marriage is not perfect. So I cannot tell you what to do within your marriage because my marriage is not perfect. I cannot tell you because I'm not a certified counselor or any of that. The only thing I can tell you to do is find a certified counselor and find God within your marriage. Or and the other thing that I tell people is talk to your spouse. Because you talking to me is not going to do anything. Talk to your spouse. That's the one that you need to talk to. That's who you really need to sit down with and have pillow talk with, your spouse, to see if we can come together and work out our differences, to see if we can come together and build a strong foundation, not only for other people, because we're not building it for them, but we're building a foundation that when our children grow up and when my daughters grow up and they go and they get married, they can look back on the foundation that I laid, that me and my husband has laid together, and they can look at that and they can say, you know what? Okay, I know what a strong foundation look like. I didn't say mimic my foundation. I said they know what a strong foundation look like. I know what a strong foundation look like because I seen my mother and my father. Do I do the same things that my mother and my father did in their marriage? Absolutely not. Because my name is Talia, my husband's name is Terrell, not Geraldine and not Joe. So we cannot be my parents. We cannot be his parents. His parents, they've been together for a while too. I think almost maybe 30 something years. My parents were together for almost 30, almost 40 something years. We cannot be them, but we know what a strong foundation look like. I want my daughters to see a strong foundation. I want my sons to see a strong foundation. Therefore, when they have their families and when they meet their husband and they meet their wives, they know what a strong foundation look like. No, I don't want to be like mama and daddy, but I know what a strong foundation look like, and I want to build a strong foundation for my family. That's what I'm putting out there. I'm not putting out there, I want your marriage to look like mine. Absolutely not. Because even though that you're my daughters and you're my seeds, that does not mean that you can take exactly the same stuff that I took in my marriage. We're two different people. You may have come from me, but we're not the same. So I need you to build a strong foundation with your husband. In order for you to do that, you need to come together with your spouse to see whatever it is, to see how we can build this strong foundation. What we need bricks. What do we need to build a foundation? We need dirt, we need mud, we need water. What do we need? We need concrete, we need cement. What do we need to build a strong foundation? What is it? Let's put it together so we can build a strong foundation. Now, I don't know how to build houses, but I know there's bricks and I know that there's insulation and all that stuff. And that's what I'm saying. There are parts to marriage that makes it become a strong foundation. What are you using for your foundation? What are you using? What makes your marriage a strong foundation? One of them is communication. Communicating with your partner. That's one thing that makes a strong foundation. Being together, communicating, working out the crooks and the cranks. Anytime that we see a hole, we go ahead and we patch that hole up before it becomes something bigger. My house not gonna look like your house. You may have a 3-story house right now, and right now I just have a 1-story. I just have just this bottom floor. That's all I have right now to work with. And you got 3 stories. You make it handle 3 stories, but I can't. I'm not ready for that yet. You may not be ready for what you think that you're ready to handle. All marriages are not created equal. Yes, we become one, which means that we become together. Remember on the last podcast, I said, if we're like this, if we're 2, when we get married, that ain't gonna work. Because there's a space in between that 2, but there's no space in between that 1. So yes, me and him are equal partners, but our marriage isn't equal to everybody else's. It does not look the same like everybody else's. You may not like what I do in my marriage, but my husband does. You may not like who I am as a wife, but my husband do. You may not like what my husband does as a husband, but I do, because he's mine. And this is what I require of him. You may not require that of your husband. So that's why you shouldn't be on the outside looking in. You should never say, "Ooh, my husband is just like him. My wife is just like her." Absolutely not. And you shouldn't even want your wife to be like her, because you don't know what type of attitude that woman got at home. She may be a disrespectful wife, but outside in the public, she looks like she's this sweet, innocent wife. She looks like she's all lovey-dovey with her husband. You ever seen those couples? I have. They lovey-dovey on the outside. They're holding hands and kissing all over each other. But at home, they're fighting, or he's with his woman and she's with her man. Let me tell you something. Stop looking on the outside. Stop going on the outside looking in at these people marriages. You don't know. You don't know. They could be suffering. And I told you, we out of our mouths bring blessings and curses. Okay? So be careful what you speak. I want my husband to be just like him. Why can't my husband act like that? And then your husband start coming up with these different personalities and these different characteristics and these different traits, and you wondering where they come from. Well, you say that you want him to be just like him. You don't know what that man is. And now he's becoming like this man that you think that he should be. Looking at somebody else's husband, idolizing somebody else, and don't really know what they got. And now your husband is starting to act like the man that you want him to act like, the man that you see and that you want him to act like, and you can't handle it because you don't understand what that woman is going through at home. But you opened your mouth and said, I want my husband to be like him. I want my wife to be like her. And she don't clean, she don't cook, she don't take care of the children, she don't take care of you. On the outside, she's all dolled up. She's all put together. There's not a puzzle piece missing from her. She make it look real good and real tempting. And you saying, I want my wife. Why can't you act like that? And then when your wife starts showing characteristics of the woman that you want her to be like, you can't handle that. Instead, how about you say, can you do this? Can we talk about what I need from you? Can we talk about what is going to make our marriage stand strong and stand through the test of times? Can we talk about what we need from each other in order for this marriage to grow and not stay stuck and not stay stagnant? Can we talk about what we can do in this marriage to make us trust each other even more, to make us love each other even more? Can we talk about that's what you need to do instead of on the outside looking in and trying to bring in outside spirits that you're not ready to conquer yet. You're not strong enough to conquer those spirits that you're conjuring up. I'm telling you. Stop, women, stop comparing yourselves to other people's wives. Why can't I look like her? Why can't I walk like her? Why can't I talk like her? Why can I do this? Why can I do that? Because you're not her. You don't know what that woman has done to get to where she's at. You don't know her story, and you cannot walk in her shoes. Just like she can't walk in yours. We all have our own stories. We all have our own lives. We all have our own individuality. That's why I need you guys to work on your marriage, and not only work on your marriage, but work on yourself. Because if you're comparing your marriage, then I guarantee you that you are comparing yourself as well. Don't compare yourself or your marriage to anybody. I seen how so many people were so upset with Will and Jada. Y'all don't know what was going on behind closed doors in them people marriages. That's the thing about us. We always want to jump into something when we hear something on social media. We want to quickly jump into somebody else's marriage and jump on somebody else's spouse and say what they should have done and what they should not have done and how this look and how that look. Don't worry about what Will and Jada had going on, because you don't know what they was going through behind closed doors. Worry about you and your spouse. Because the only reason why you have not suffered humiliation is because you're not in the public eye. Some of us have been Will, and some of us have been Jada. Some of us need to understand that what we see all the time is not what it is. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Y'all heard that before. When you start getting to know people and you start going out with these couples, you start looking at it, you start saying, oh, you know what? Maybe my marriage is good. Maybe I am a good wife, because I'm seeing the way that they argue and fight and go off on each other. That's not what I want for my husband. You have to be able to stand on your own. Your marriage have to be able to stand on its own and not be triggered and not be shaky about when you see other things around you, about your surroundings and your atmosphere. It cannot shake you. It cannot move you. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what you see. It's not about that. It's about you and it's about him. It's about you and it's about her. It's not about all this outside stuff. It's not about that. It's about you and him and what you guys want and how you're going to build your foundation to make sure that when that wolf comes to huff and puff and blow your house down, your house is still standing. You're that little pig that when that wolf came to huff and puff, your house still stood, because you built your house on a good foundation. You built your marriage on a good foundation. So that's why the wolf can't come in. That's why that your marriage is still standing, even though somebody else isn't. That's why, because you built your marriage on a good, strong foundation. That it doesn't matter what comes your way, it doesn't matter what gets thrown your way, because you have built your marriage on a firm foundation. It cannot be shaken, it cannot be destroyed. The enemy is coming for marriages, he's targeting marriages because marriages are powerful, and we don't understand that. We're too busy out here looking at other people's marriages and comparing our marriages and trying to make sure that our marriage equal up to somebody else's, when it's not about that. It's about you and your spouse. It's about making sure that your marriage stands strong. It's about making sure that you getting what you need out of your marriage and out of your spouse. Nobody else matters. Nobody else marriage matters. It's between you and it's between him. Marriage can be a good thing. It can be a beautiful thing, but not if you're comparing it to somebody else. It will fall every time. Make sure that you're building your marriage on a strong foundation, that whenever the storm passes by, whenever the wind blows, whenever the tornado comes, whenever the hurricane hits, whenever the tsunami comes and take over, your marriage is still standing. I hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast, number 20. Okay, y'all, we in number 20. I hope you guys have learned something, and I hope it's something that you can apply to your life. That's the only reason why I do these podcasts, because I want to help us. I want marriages to be everywhere, because marriages are dying, and even the desire to be married is dying, and I want to bring marriage back. Bring it back. You know what I'm saying? I love you guys, and I want you to make sure that you look good and you feel good and that you be a good person. Go be a good person. Go be a good spouse. Okay? Love y'all. Good night.